Hey, what's up, my friend? So, in today's episode, we have Dave Chue. Dave used to run a company that develops mobile phone applications, and recently, he sold his company for 8 figures. Absolutely life-changing money. But for those of you who wants to buy a mansion, a yacht, etc., maybe that amount of money is not life-changing for you. But for most of us listening to today's episode, right, 8 figure is life-changing money. So in today's episode, we talk about how Dave got started in the mobile phone application business. Then he shared the strategies and techniques to help him decide which type of apps to create. Also, he gave us a high-level overview, right, of what one's need, right, what someone need to do, right, in order to develop a mobile phone app successfully. And then we also talk about how he sell the business for an 8-figure valuation and much more. If that's exciting for you, then let's get to it. Welcome to Rayner Show. This is the podcast where I interview entrepreneurs and mavericks who get shit done. Okay, Dave, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
So first and foremost, I must say that you are one of the rare people that I come across who have clearly made their mark in this world and is still so frugal. Right, I really respect that because it reminds me that in life it's not just about chasing all those material stuff, right? But rather focus a lot on the experience.
Yep.
So tell us, what's the most expensive thing you've bought? I mean, besides your house and car, right? What's the...
Wow. Okay. I think for some context, for those people who do not know me, I exited my company 2 years ago. Last year, 2022. So it was a 8-figure exit, and other people around me always ask me when I told them I exited the company, what's the most expensive thing that I bought? Nothing fancy. I think the most expensive things I bought is 2 Secret Lab chair. One is for my wife and one is for me. So the reason is being that after exiting the company, I still have to work with the company, the buyer, for about a year. So I've been using my the old office chair for about close to 3 to 4 years, and it's getting very dirty and getting very creaky. So I think it makes sense that to mark a new chapter of working for somebody else, I should get a new and better chair. And Secret Lab is the one that fits me the best.
And how much does a Secret Lab chair cost, for those of you who are wondering?
It cost me about $750. So 2 chairs cost me about $1,500. Yep.
And there you have it. Right? Imagine having a 8-figure payday and you buy 2 Secret Lab chair as your most expensive item. Remarkable, really. A lot to learn from you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so just curious, if I were to ask you, right, one word to describe your childhood, what would that be?
I would say blessed. I come from a complete family, so I have, and the most important thing, I have a very good brother. So I have an older brother who has been with me ups and downs for the past 10 to 20 years. So whenever I'm feeling down, he's the ones that motivate me. Whenever I enjoy some success, he's also there with me to congratulate me. And and he's the one that really inspired me to go into being an entrepreneur, going into doing apps, and even though during the initial part of the entrepreneurship journey, it was tough. He always, he stuck by me, giving me some basic allowance just to ensure that I still have a proper standard of living and all sorts. Yeah, so I'm very blessed to my brother. I'm very grateful for him. And of course, not forgetting to mention my mom and dad. They have raised me up well, and they really impart me all the frugality values into me. Since young, they didn't spoil me with a lot of material things, So I'm very grateful that I have a very complete and loving family, and then they have supported me throughout this whole journey.
Fantastic. And what if I were to ask you one word to describe your teenage years? What would that be?
Wow, teenage years. Awkward, I would say. So in teenage years, I'm quite obsessed with studying hard. Because to me, I want to lead a very good lifestyle. So back then, the only way to earn lots of money, the most straightforward way is to study hard, have good grades, and get a very good job, high paying job, and live a very good life. So and that caused me to really be very focused on my studies. So from secondary one all the way to university, I would say most of my time is spent studying. And that caused me to be quite awkward because I'm not that because I don't really attend a lot of social events. I don't go out too often with some of my friends. So that made me kind of like socially awkward. So when it comes to girls, it took me a very long while to figure out, how to talk to them, how to ask them out for a date. And, I asked a few girls out for a date, and most of the time it turns out to be very awkward. It took me quite a while to really, come out of my shell, to really be a little bit more sociable, and be daring to go out for more social events. So I would say in teenage years, I'm pretty awkward. I'm really just obsessed with just mostly studying and getting good grades. Yeah.
Okay, and you said that you want to study well and get a high-paying job to make lots of money. Is there a reason for it?
I guess it's because of my parents' frugality. They don't spoil me with a lot of material goods. So oftentimes, if I want something, it's either I have to save from my pocket money or I have to go out to look for a job. So from young, I'm always quite envy of people who had a lot of toys with them, who got the latest phone. I only got my first Nokia phone, which is a second-hand. My dad handed me down a second-hand Nokia phone in secondary 4, 16 years old. So so every time my friends are able to play Snake on their game, I can only look from afar. So so it spurred me to really if I really want to buy things, I really have to study hard and really push ahead, and to get ready what I want, I need to really study hard and get a good job. Yeah.
And I'm thinking what's ironic now is that now you have made your money and you still got nothing much to buy.
Yeah, I think things change. After I have my own mini pot of gold. I'm no longer, I don't know whether it's age or something like that. No longer very interested in material things. I think experiences are really the one that motivates me more now. So instead of buying, Ferrari, or buying, those luxury cars or luxury items like the watches, I'm not interested in all those luxury watches. But I don't mind spending on good experiences, like staying in a more luxury hotel, with more facilities, with good food, with good service, sitting on a better airline like Singapore Airlines. I used to sit a lot on AirAsia. So I really like these experiences rather than spending on watches that I don't really appreciate. Maybe I will just be happy for a few days, and then I think I will go back to the same plateau again.
Yeah, I agree, because I think I read somewhere some scientific podcast, they say that we human, we have a baseline level of happiness, right? All these material ones usually boost that short-term high. After that, we always go back to a natural baseline.
Yeah.
I think experience is what will, it's definitely a better quote-unquote investment. So what about business class ticket or first class ticket? Are those something you're willing to invest in for experiences?
So, wow, okay. So after exiting, I have to make a trip down to Boston to meet my buyers. That is the only time I took a business class to overseas, and it was I think it was an 18-hour ride to New York. And that was the first time I took a business class, and yeah, that was one of the best experiences I have. And I try to, although I enjoy these experiences, I went for holiday with my family members. But seeing the ticket price for business class, I hesitated a lot. So eventually, I still didn't spend a lot on the business class ticket. Eventually, I just spent on premium economy and just a normal economy tickets with my family. Yeah, but maybe in the future, when I accumulated more miles, I will definitely splurge on a business class.
I see. So what do you remember as some of the most formative moments in your earlier years?
Wow. Okay. I think the pivotal moment in my entire life. I think without this pivotal moment in my life, right, I won't be where I am today. I think the most pivotal moment is after getting my PSLE results. I didn't really score well for PSLE. For all the audiences here, I have the same PSLE score as Rayner here.
Tell them what's our score.
So our score was 205 out of 300.
And by the way, Dave thought that wasn't good, but I thought that was good for my context. Yeah, please carry on.
My expectation wasn't very high for my PSLE score. I just wanted to go to the same secondary school as my brother. And the cutoff point was 225 back then for BT Secondary School. It was in Braddell Road. And I had a lot of expectations that I probably can scrape through and get into a BT Secondary 225. It shouldn't be too hard, right? But unfortunately, when the results was released, I only managed to get 205. I'm not so sure. It's just like I felt a sense of embarrassment, and also I felt I have disappointed my parents. So my parents spent quite a lot on tuition for me. But I think they spend over $1,000 every month just to get my marks up. But it didn't really turn out well. So I think is that disappointment. I let my parents down. I let my brother down. And even at a score of 225, I cannot even get a score 225. I think it caused me a lot of embarrassment. So after getting the PSL results, I have about 2 months to reflect. So that during that 2 months of reflection, and a lot of scoldings from my parents and everything else, I think there was a fire started burning in me. So I have, and this mindset change of I have this one goal to achieve when I get to secondary one, was to get first in the whole of secondary one, and then to be transferred out of the school and get into my brother's school at BT Secondary School. So that was my first real goal in life, was to get good grades and be transferred out. And the fastest way to get transferred out is really to get good grades and convince the principal that you can handle the new workload and all sorts. And I think and that really spurred me. And for the whole of secondary one, I really worked very hard. I studied about 3 to 4 hours a day or even more back then. For secondary one, the syllabus wasn't a lot. 3 to 4 hours for secondary one is quite a lot. And I remember, even before lessons started, the night before, I was already memorizing all the different topics already. So I was very interested in history. So even before every history lesson, I memorized all the facts. When did Singapore get independence? What happened in World War I? What happened in World War II? Everything I knew, and I really practiced a lot of math assessment book also, algebra and everything else, the multiplication, all these things. And I remember, I got my first taste of academic success in my first test. So I think for my first test was a history test. So and being very interested in history, I've already, even before the quiz started, I have memorized the text, the topic way before that. So on the day of exam, I just vomit out everything, and eventually I scored full marks for the test. I still remember it's 25 marks, so I scored 25 out of 25. And that really, really excited me, because I know that, wow, my hard work translated to good results. And then my second quiz was a math quiz. So I was very bad at math in primary 6. So for that math quiz, I also scored full marks for that math, and that really, really motivates me also. So it really changed my mindset. I have this belief, new belief installed in me is that hard work can translate to results. And from then on, the momentum pick up. in the mid-year exams, I was number 1 for the whole level, and then for all the midterm tests and everything else, just everything just keep rolling, and eventually in secondary 1, I think I was number 2 or number 3 in the whole of secondary 1. And that momentum carried on all the way to junior college. So I would say PSLE was really the pivotal moment. It really changed my life.
Do you manage to go to BT Sec that you wanted?
Oh no. Unfortunately, no. We went for application to apply for a transfer of school, but the principal says that my current school and BT Secondary School is just too near, and even if my grades are good, it's very hard for MOE to justify that the transfer of the school. So MOE was looking for the more valid reason for you want to transfer the school is more on the distance instead of you want to transfer because of your own personal reasons. So in the end, I didn't really get to transfer to BT Secondary School, and I stay on to my current school.
I see. So parents who wants to transfer your kids out of school, next time you know what to do. Location is number 1, okay? But it don't know if it applies till today. That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
Okay. So you mentioned that momentum carried to JCs, but I'm curious, what if imagine, right? Sec 1, you work really hard. The word pia means you work really hard for your studies. And then your first test, your history test, instead of getting 25, maybe you just get 11 or 12. You just pass. How do you think you react to that?
I don't think it will affect me a lot because I've been failing quite a lot in primary school. So even if I didn't really get a good result in my first test, I don't think it will affect me too much. I think back then I was just too focused and too motivated. Along the way, after the first history test and the first math test, I have other quizzes, and after tests, I think one subject I did very badly was always D&T, design and technology. So I was pretty bad on that because it was very hard to memorize, and it was not a topic that I'm really interested in. So for that subject, even though I was getting like B's, sometimes A's, occasional A's, but more B's than A's, I was still feeling very motivated. My goal was that my mindset is just that it's okay. I have 8 subjects in secondary 1. It's just one subject is not doing well. I have other subjects to pull me up, and history is always the one that is scoring. Allowed me to score well because I'm really interested in that. Geography is another one because it's just pure memory work. So so I don't think it will affect me too much because I have experienced quite a lot of failures in primary school. So failure is not really something new to me. I think it's the motivation and the burning fire that overcomes quite a lot of things. Got it.
When you say failure, I don't know, it reminds me that when I was young, I also encountered a lot of failures, and it seems that people who fail a lot, this could be just anecdotal, right? They feel like they tend to be more optimistic, like I fail so won't die or then just survive. So whenever they encounter setback or failure in life, they tend to pick themselves up relatively easy compared to people who are always, from the young, they always like A's, Then when failure sets in, right, they have difficulty picking it up because they have not encountered failure. So just something that came at the top of my mind.
Yeah.
So maybe now let's move on, right? Clearly, your previous business, you have already sold it. Your previous business was developing apps in the Apple Store. So how did that come about? Was that your first job that you did, or do you have a job before developing apps?
So I didn't really get a 9-to-5 job. So I have never really worked for anyone, except for being in an internship in a petrochemical company. So being an entrepreneur is really my first full-time job. So how did that come about? So so in university, my grades weren't that good. I was in NTU chemical engineering. So back then it was quite a competitive course. Even if you score, in university it's a bell-shaped curve. Okay, your results are based on your grades are based on a bell-shaped curve. So even if you score 80 marks, but if the rest of your peers are scoring more than 80 marks, you probably only get B plus instead of a usual A if you score 80 marks in secondary school or junior college. So it was a pretty competitive course, and So I didn't really score really well, and I was thinking, chemical engineering is not really for me. Wasn't very interested in, all the pipe flow, doing all the formula work or doing all the engineering work, understanding all the distillation columns. It's not really for me. So, at year 4, and my last year of studies, I was, really thinking, what should I do next? And, and this thought pop up, saying that maybe I should, I'm always been very interested in doing business. I've read a lot of biographies on, businessmen on how they create their business empire, and all sorts. And, back then in 2014, so I started in 2014, there was a lot of successful startups. There was, I think, Facebook, there was like Snapchat, there was Instagram. So all these startups are really, popping up, and they have massive valuation of $1 billion. They're the unicorns. So that really, got me interested in, can I, create the next unicorn in Singapore? And just nice, government was rolling out, a lot of the grants to encourage entrepreneurship, And one such grant is the iGEM grant. So iGEM grant, the first tier is a 50K grant, and you just have to pitch an technology idea to a panel, and if they really like it, they will recommend you to get the 50K grant from the government, and you can use the 50K grant to develop your product. And so I have an idea related to a mobile app. So back then in 2014, our mobile phones are, the front camera is very low resolution. It's only about maybe 1.2 megapixel, but the back camera usually has a stronger camera. It has a higher resolution, so it's like maybe 4 to 5 megapixel. And in 2014, selfie is the rage. Everybody is taking selfies. It's the rise of the Instagram and the rise of the influencers. Everybody is just taking nice selfie. They want to take good selfie, everything else. But then, to take a good selfie, if you use the front cam, your selfie will be quite pixelated. But if you want to use the back camera to take the selfie, it's quite difficult, right? Because you can't see your face in the viewfinder. So I came up with an idea of using an app. I developed an app. The app name is called Say Selfie. What it did is that, I get a programmer to program an algorithm. So when you raise up your phone and your back camera is facing to you, and when your face is in the middle of the viewfinder, in the middle of the camera, it will take a photo for you automatically. So so your face is always in the center of the viewfinder. And if your face is not in the center of the viewfinder, it will give out a voice direction. So it will say tilt up, tilt left, tilt right, tilt down. And once you just follow the instructions, once your face is in the middle, it will take the photo for you automatically. So that's my very first app idea that I have. And I used the app idea to pitch to a lot of the investors. But the main concern for the idea is that it's very hard to monetize. So eventually, I didn't really get the first investment using that idea. But that really started me into the rabbit hole into the App Store world. App Store back then, 2014, was still quite new. There was a lot of, it was like a Wild Wild West. There was a lot of ideas that you can explore. There's a lot of market gaps that you can really explore. And that really got me really interested into exploring more deeply into the App Store world.
So I'm hearing a lot, like say it's very easy to get ideas. So how do you get ideas for your apps? And now also bear in mind that you said that there has to be a monetization factor behind it, right?
Well, I guess it's like any okay, so it's like any business. Before you start, you need to do a lot of market research. So how do I usually approach this market research? A lot of the market research I did is based on the principles of the Lean Startup. So if you guys are familiar with the Lean Startup book, it talks about always approaching a business in a very scientific way. So first, you need to have a hypothesis. Once you have a hypothesis and assumption, then you need to test the assumption. And to test the assumption, you need to come up with a product first. And your product shouldn't take too long to create. So create a hypothesis, if you identify a problem that needs to be solved, and you need to create a product to solve the issue. And you need to create a product, not using too much capital and also not using too much of your time. Maybe about 1 to 2 months, you should create an MVP. And you quickly release the MVP to test an assumption. And if your assumption is right, then you should probably see some traction. People downloading your product, people leaving feedbacks on your product, or people are recommending your product to other people. So, and once you have that initial traction, you can have the confidence to further develop the product and pouring more capital and pouring more resources into the product. So how do I use this approach to succeed in the App Store? To really test the idea. So what I do every day is just go to the App Store and scan the top apps in the App Store. So in the App Store, you can just go to the top 100, top 200 most popular apps, the top 200 apps in the whole App Store. And you can probably see, the first few are always the Facebook, Instagram, and everything else. But if you scroll further down into the 100 to 150, they are usually the smaller apps that has a smaller niche. So you just have to go into the smaller niche and see is there any other features that they are lacking. So read the reviews of the App Store of the apps and see whether is there something you can develop to beat the competition, to beat all the other apps in the App Store. Yeah, so that's one way. And second way, there's a lot of ways to do market research. Second way is reading Reddit. So I spend quite a lot of time in Reddit. So I go to Reddit, I go to those subreddit forum. And a good example would be I created an app called Glitch Art. Okay, so it's people who are really interested in glitching their photos. They love to create those glitches in their photos.
What is glitches?
Glitches is those, whenever your computer is. Are you familiar with blue screen of death?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So people love this. It's kind of like an artistic thing. So people like to overlay this blue screen of death effect onto their photo. So it's kind of create like a very artistic kind of style in your photo. So it's very niche. It's a very unique group of people who really like to put this kind of effects into their photos and videos. So I went to this Reddit for sub forum, and it's called Glitch Art. Literally called just Glitch Art. And they were a group of I think 1,000 people in there that keep uploading photos on making their photo glitches. So there was a lot of very nice effect. So and an idea pop up in my mind that if there's 1,000 people interested in putting this effect onto their photos, I probably can create an app for that. So I went back to my developer saying that I just want an app that put an overlay of glitch effect onto their photo. And within about 3 weeks to 4 weeks, I have an app and I released to the App Store. And surprisingly, there's really a lot of people looking for glitch effect, and wanting to put glitch effect into a photo. So just by doing that, I think my app during that time was doing about $1,000 a day organically without any paid advertisements from that niche. And because the niche that category was so niche that there wasn't any competitors. So I was easily, for all the keywords that I have for glitch, I was easily number 1, number 2, and I was getting like $3, $1,000 to $2,000 a day for free.
And that's considered a lot because it's like a month you're looking at like $50,000, $60,000.
Yes, correct, for free, and it's zero marketing spend. So that was one way you can do that. Another way you can go to the Amazon, the top seller list also. So I missed that trend, but it was a very good case study. So back then, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a big hype on coloring books. So people were purchasing a lot of coloring books on Amazon. So they bought a lot of coloring books, and it's a way of to relieve stress. They buy a book, color pencils, and then you just color. And a few people in the App Store got very smart about it, so they create a digital version of it, and they just have to. And back then, iPad was also popular, and iPad also introduced the Apple Pen. Yeah, so was the perfect opportunity for you to just simply bring an idea from Amazon to the App Store. So a lot of people create apps just for a coloring book. So you can just download the app, and you open the app and there's a lot of coloring pages for you to color. You can just use an Apple Pen and just color it on. And till now, the coloring books are still very popular in the App Store. If you are the top coloring book in the App Store right now, you're probably earning about every month about 500 to 600K just from this simple app.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of things to play with on App Store. A lot of things that you can port from the physical world to the app world. So back then, that was the play. So there was a lot of market research doing that on that.
Okay. And going back to the glitch, so let's say you talk about MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product, in case some of you are wondering. So let's say glitch is something that, hey, got 1,000 downloads a day. Do you then just rely on the organic traffic, or are you going to buy ads to even try to push it even further?
Okay, back then, so our business model is very different from most business model. We call ourselves the app publishing company. So we don't just focus on one app. Okay, our goal is to create a portfolio of apps targeting different niche that the big competitors like Photoshop, Adobe, they don't focus on. So our strategy was very simple. We focus 100% focus on photo and video category, graphic design category, and whatever apps you create, right, we try to stay in this category. Reason being because of economics of scale. If you create an app for glitch art, you can basically recycle the code and use the code for another app. You can create, after glitch art is done, you can use the same code, and just change the effects and maybe apply fire effects to your photo, for example. And you can just keep recycling. So your cost of producing the app gets lower and lower each time. So the app, maybe you can probably recycle 4 to 5 times, and the cost will be maybe like less than 4 figures, or maybe even lower. Yeah.
So am I right to say that maybe you talked earlier the glitch app? I'm guessing how it works is that someone upload an image, then your app will give it a so-called glitch feature.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's say earlier you also talked about the fire. So you won't have within the same app, you can do glitch effect, fire effect, water effect. It'll all be different apps. Did I get it right?
Yes, correct.
So,
one app.
So one app for one effect.
Yes.
So if someone want another photo to make it look very firesome,
yes,
they need to pay money for another app to make that fire effect.
Yes, correct.
Got it. Wow. So they have to keep paying lah.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So I think the main reason is also to be very focused. So App Store works exactly like how Google search works. The SEO. Whatever keywords you put in your app is very important. So if you mix too many things in one app, then the app become too diverse, and your keyword selection also become too diverse. Then it's very hard for the Apple algorithm to state what this app is about. So if your app is very focused on just creating one thing, then all your keywords will be very focused on that particular topic. Which is example glitch. So glitch, there's a lot of very interesting keywords. So there's glitch art, glitch effects, and something related to glitch can also be VHS. So what's VHS is is in the 90s where you have all the videotapes, and when we play the old videotapes, there's all those lines, all this very old effect.
Was it the colorful lines thing?
Yeah, something like
okay.
that. Yeah, so people like to associate that with glitch also. So we can branch out something related to glitch. So everything is very centered around that glitch. So when Apple algorithm crawl to your app, right, they can very easily tell, this app is really very focused on glitch, and whatever related to glitch, they will push your app up to the top of the search results.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe just to push back a little bit, because earlier you mentioned that how you search for ideas is looking from the top 100 to 150. You see what your competitors are doing. Then you add more features, add more stuff. But by again adding more features, so that won't it again be like all-in-one app, which is against what you said earlier by focusing?
Well, it depends on what kind of features. It can be it could be an app that's lacking on some features like a text feature. So it doesn't have to be some additional features that it diverts away from your main topic. So for example, there's this example photo editor app that's lacking certain kind of font that people like. Maybe you read the reviews. Hey, people are looking for this font. They are requesting for this font. You can just create an app and then include this font. Then it doesn't still divert away, but it still differentiate yourself from the main competitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how does Apple kind of decide which app to push at the top of the ranking? Because I know at SEO they have a backlink and stuff like that. So how does Apple kind of decide which to go?
Okay, so this is quite a few years ago, so a lot of things have changed. So back then, the algorithm was quite more simple. It's very simple to understand. So for example, maybe okay, let's go back to the example of glitch and Photoshop. So maybe Photoshop, okay, Adobe Photoshop. There's this Adobe Photoshop app. It's occupying the keyword glitch as the number one. Okay. Then I released an app called Glitch Art. But because my app, Glitch Art, is more targeted, and all the, my app icon is very glitch related. My screenshots are all very glitch related. My description is all very glitch related. And when someone comes to the App Store and they compare Adobe Photoshop and my Glitch Art app, someone who is looking for glitch effects come to the App Store and look for glitch effects. They will highly likely select my app rather than Adobe Photoshop. Because Adobe Photoshop, the screenshots all doesn't related to glitch, right? Because it's very generic. You just want to edit a photo. But my app is very focused. It's always about glitch. You come into my app, the only thing you can do is to add glitch effects. And the user will definitely click on my app. And that also send a signal to the App Store saying that, oh, okay, my conversion rate is higher than Adobe Photoshop, and for this particular keyword. And then Apple will think that, oh yeah, this app is more relevant. It's the relevancy that's very important. It's more relevant to the keyword glitch art, and it will push me above Adobe Photoshop and be number one.
Okay, so when you mention conversion, does it mean that they have to download and use the app that's considered one conversion?
Yes, correct. So it's when people land on your App Store page and then they download it, and the conversion rate is higher than Adobe Photoshop for that particular keyword.
Oh, I see. Okay, so basically they want the user to get the best experience. That's how one trick they do for it.
So every time you create an app, so I have 38 apps in the App Store before I sold the company, and each app is very focused on a particular topic, very particular niche. So for example, I have apps called the Logo Maker. So you go into the App Store, if you search Logo Maker, I'll be number one. And what this app does is just one thing. You go into my app, you create a logo. I have about a few hundred templates for you to choose from. It's all logo templates, and you can create a logo within 5 minutes. And I'll probably beat out Photoshop again if Photoshop have that keyword. Reason being, I'm more relevant than Photoshop because Photoshop is just too generic. Yeah. Then I have apps like Poster Maker. You go into the app and create posters. Invitation Maker. You go into the app and create invitation. And I have also the last app that I create before I sold company is NFT Creator. So you go into the app, and you just simply create an NFT, and yeah. So that's the gist. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned you have 38 apps. So if you have to regularly update your apps, wouldn't it be very cumbersome? Is there like a regular updates they usually do?
So that's the beauty of choosing the right category. So I was a little lucky. So I was in the graphic design, photo and video category. Basically, photo and video apps is just basically editing, right? And the most common editing features is just to apply filters, write text on a photo, maybe add some effects and so on. There's only so much that you can do for editing of photos, right? So once you create an app that has all these features, you can basically just kind of recycle them and then apply to the rest of the 38 apps. Yeah. So and once in a while, if there's Apple releases new features that you think you can input into your app, you just update it, and it's quite easy to update because the code is technically quite similar. So you can update for one, you can update for the rest of the 38 quite quickly.
Got it.
Yeah. So so that's the reason why we are so focused on this category, because it's more for economies of scale. You can do for one, you can do for the rest of the apps also.
But at the start, you didn't know that this has this so-called benefit, this economies of scale.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, was it by chance you just happened to be in this category, or was it planned from the start?
I would say it's by chance, because my first app is Say Selfie app is a selfie app. So for this selfie app, after taking a good selfie, you also want to edit your photos, right? So we kind of by chance get into this category because of my first app also. So, our thinking is that, Say Selfie, we didn't get investment. So we kind of need to pivot into, be self-sustaining. So, what do we do? So we ask the developer to create, the features for this, Say Selfie app, the editing app, to make it more, appealing to more users. And we just figured that, wow, we spent quite a lot of money developing these features. So the only way to, make back, or at least reduce the cost is to recycle the code and use this code to create another app. Don't waste. It's kind of wasteful if you just, you spend a few $1,000s to create an app and then you don't recycle it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it kind of like by chance, but, after by chance, then we think about it, to reduce the cost, we need to do that. Yeah.
When you use the word we, I'm guessing you have someone else in this with you.
Yeah. So my brother. So my brother is the one that encouraged me to give this a shot. Go and get the grant from the government. Go to get IGM grant government. So eventually we managed to get the grant. But by the time we got the grant, we kind of like figure out how the App Store works. So we are kind of like bootstrapped already. So we were already profitable and we don't really need further investment. So after that, we stopped, raising money from the VC, and then my brother and I eventually decided to go all into figuring out how the App Store works and create a portfolio of apps. To create a small mini app empire.
I like app empire. So now I'm thinking, right, because from what I know, right, you don't create apps yourself, you hire a developer to help you with it. So let's say someone who wants to maybe create an app and they need to find a developer, what would you tell them to do, or where should they find one?
I guess even before you start developing an app, it's always go back to the basic principle first, to the lean startup idea, which is to what is the problem they are trying to solve, and what's the hypothesis, what's the assumption that you are trying to create, and then to create an MVP as fast as possible, as a low cost as possible, and then test the assumption, test the idea. So I would always say always don't hire a full-time team yet. Just go to Upwork, get an Upwork, or if you have a friend that who is willing to do this for you, with you for equity or anything, quickly, come together, sketch out a quick MVP, minimum viable product, that doesn't take more than 1 month, create a very simple one, and then quickly go to Upwork and release. Once it's done, release them to the App Store. And of course, you also need a designer to create the UI UX, quickly, also you can also go to Upwork, or maybe even go to Fiverr, quickly sketch out a simple design, and pass it to the developer for Upwork, and then you just quickly release to the App Store. Yeah, the fastest way is always go to Upwork. There's tons of freelancers that's willing to do it in a quick and reasonable cost.
Are there any things you look for in the freelancer before you hire them?
I would guess is it's always their resume. Back. Okay, I haven't used Upwork for quite a while now because when I exited the company, I already have a full-time team, so have not been using Upwork for quite a while. But back then when I'm using Upwork, there's a lot of developers that have resumes that seems very fishy. When I talk to one developer and look at their resume, some of the apps that they develop is almost the same as another developer that I've been talking to. So they kind of because it's very hard to verify whether they created app. So in the resume, they can just put it, they can just say that, I've created this app, but there's no way to verify whether they really did the app. So the principle that I go with is always to hire slow, fire fast. Okay, so always go through the interview, go through the resume, and then always go into an interview with them and ask basic technical questions. So my question is always very related to photo and video. So I'll ask them, what kind of framework they use for photo editing, video editing, and all sorts. And if they can answer the basic questions, then And after a few rounds of interview, after comparing with other candidates, and after cross-referencing whether they really develop the app, and you feel that they are not fishy and they are speaking the truth, then you hire them. And usually I hire them on a project basis. So if they can't complete the project, then I can very quickly fire them. So it's always hire slow, gonna go through all the interview with them, give them technical questions to answer, and ensure that they are really speaking the truth. But once you feel that, when the project started and they are giving a lot of excuses, I can't do this, I can't do that, and there's delaying and they are not responsive, then you have to quickly fire them and restart the whole process again and look for a new developer. It's very hard to tell whether that guy is legit until you really work with them. So once you feel that, after 1 to 2 weeks, they are not producing results, quickly fire them and find a new developer. Yeah.
Okay. And let's say someone wants to create an app that from the top of my mind, I'm thinking that there's so many things I need to do because I'm new, right? So many things I have to consider. Like maybe first, like you say, the UI, UX. After that, the buttons click to this page. Then maybe the menu bar. What should I have? Like, about us, contact and stuff like that. So are these all different things that someone needs to consider before the app is built? Are they even important? I'm not referring to 80-20 over here.
I would say, before you start an app, back to the lean startup way, is always to ensure that the idea is feasible. There's really a market for it, and you can do this even without an app. So you can always very quickly, one way to test your idea is really to just create a very simple landing page. So for example, you want to test the idea of glitch art. You can just create a landing page that says, I have this app is still in development. Okay. And basically you just state what this app does. So add glitch effects to your photo, blah, 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 everything else. Create a landing page. And then and you just release to the internet world. And what you do is that you run Facebook ads on this and you see what's the conversion rate. Are there people willing to go into this landing page and then put their email into it to notify them that, once the app is released, they will get a notification and they can download the app store. So all these things are small little steps, you can do to test the idea before you create an app. Yeah. So that's just one way.
Okay. Do you do that yourself to test?
Initially, yes, but after I get more experience and my cost was so low from the recycling of the code, I don't do that. I can just quickly release an app within 3 weeks. So I don't really need to. I will find it faster to just release an actual app because it just take me 3 weeks to test an idea.
Okay, so maybe just walk me through maybe like a high level overview. Like let's say someone wants to create an app. He already knows there's a demand for it. What are the certain things that he needs to consider when creating the app?
I would say how complicated the app is. So it really boils down to, I would say it's the before you create an app, you have to know, like what I mentioned, whether is there a market for it and what's your unique selling point. And you need to test. I think the very important thing is to whether your MVP, how long it takes for you to create your MVP. So if your MVP takes too long, right, then you have to really simplify it even further so that it doesn't take 6 months just to create an MVP and then test the idea. And then, if you want to dive deep into a specific or creating an app, then I think the first step is always to look at your competitors. Easier way to, find out what are the core features that you need for the MVP. Just go to your main competitor, see whether you can duplicate some of the features and put it in, and everything else. And even the UI UX, you don't really need to start from scratch. With the App Store being quite mature now, there's basically an app for almost everything. So you can just get look for your closest competitor and then kind of create a UI that's similar to a competitor. The reason being there's no need to reinvent the wheel is that, most of the apps now are quite mature and they have probably done a lot of research on, the UI UX, whether this UI UX is it being optimized. So you can usually, save quite a lot of time and money from, creating everything from scratch. Just use your competitor as an example and then use the UI UX from them Then you can just quickly tell the designer to create a similar UI UX, maybe make some changes to what you think can be better, and then quickly write a design brief for a designer first on the UI UX. Maybe you can. What I usually do is that the first page I will say is the home screen. Home screen. What are some of the buttons that I need? What are the wordings that I need? And after the home screen, I will go down to the second screen. Second screen could be the editing screen for my photo editing app. And how do I want the editing screen to be like? At the top is the user's photo. At the bottom is all the different editing features, the text, the filters, the stickers, and everything else. And then into each of the editing features, you need to create a separate screen for it also. And then usually it's quite fast because your competitors has already done it. So you just take a screenshot and then put it in a design brief, and then quickly move on. And once the design brief is out, done, send it to the designer, get into a call with him to see if there's any things that he doesn't understand. Everything is all in order. He needs everything, all the info that he needs. And then once he send him the design, the brief, and then once he got the designs out, and then you can send it to the developer. So for the developer side, you need to write a tech brief. So on the tech brief, you need to be very specific on what each feature does. So when I click on this button, I'm a more traditional way. Now people use Figma, but back then Figma is like it's like basically you create a template, and when you click on the template, you can go to the next screen and the next screen. It's something like a Photoshop thing for creating UI UX. Yeah. So back then, Figma wasn't that popular, so I wasn't using Figma. So for me, I was just using the Google Docs, and for tech brief, you just state, for each screen, what are the buttons there and what each button does. And for the editing features, what each editing feature does, and how many fonts to put in, and so on and so forth, and then all the way to the end of the app. And then once the tech brief is done, and he has the designs, and then the developer can start work. Yeah, and then you, of course, if you're hiring for hard work, you need to track his working hours. Ensure that he's on time. I believe Upwork there's still the tracker, the time tracker. To track his time, you need to regularly go and see him and ensure that he's doing. It's a lot of micromanaging when you first start out. Yeah, and then for every few weeks or every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll ask for a beta version to ensure that he's on track. Make sure that he's following the brief well and following all the design brief well. Yeah.
So am I right to say that you actually require multiple freelancers to execute each stage of the app?
No, you just need basically you just need a team of 3 person, right? You are the one that is overseeing everything. You are the visionary, how you want the app to be, and you are the one that's testing the assumption. You need a developer to code, and then you just need a UI UX designer. You just need 3 person.
Okay, so developer means the ones that run on the back end, make sure things are working.
The code,
then the UI is just the design guy.
Yes, correct.
And they have to work pretty closely since.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So it's pretty small and lean team for if you want in the App Store. So it don't require a lot of capital really to create the first version of the app. Unless your app is so complicated that the developer need tons of hours to create the app. Yeah. And to share, because to make your cost even lower, because the App Store is so mature right now, there's actually quite a lot of templates out there for you to create your MVP fast. So for example, if you want to create an e-commerce app, for example, for trading cards, a very niche, you don't need to start from scratch. You can basically just go to Google and just Google e-commerce app template. I believe there's about a few thousand results. You can just go into them. Maybe they charge you about maybe $300, $400 USD just for the app template. You can just buy the app template, pass it to the developer, and then the developer just makes some of the changes that you want. So you don't really need to code from scratch anymore.
So the ones selling the app template, they are an app themselves, is it?
Yes.
They're an app company selling app templates.
Yep, correct. So they have a bunch of developers at the backend just creating a lot of templates for people to use. Yep.
Okay. And so if that's the case, then I guess your unique so-called edge is really not so much about the design, because the template is like so easily, readily there.
Yeah.
So where does the edge now lie? Since
It's in your market research, in your that's why I always say, before you even dive deep into the app, you need to test your hypothesis, test the idea, what's the unique selling point. Whether your selling point is unique enough from your competitors, so that people will download your app rather than other people's app. So that's really the main thing behind any apps.
That's like the most important thing. The first and foremost, that's the top of the mind.
Correct. So that's why I say, even before you start an app, you can just quickly test an idea. You can create a landing page, and then run a very simple Facebook ads to test whether people are willing to download an app, to give up their email, to receive notification. Or you can simply, back in my day, because we are kind of like bootstrap, what I did is I went to, for the Say Selfie app, so what I did is I went to, I don't know, social people know, the Scape theme park, the Scape. So there was a lot of youngsters there. So my target audience was those youngsters who was very interested in going to, take selfie. So I went there, I think I went there for 2 to 3 weeks, interviewing the people there. So I just tell them, I have this app idea, that take selfies better, use your back camera and blah, blah, blah. And then ask them for their opinion. What's their feedback? Would you download this app? And if you have this app, what kind of features they would want? Yeah, this all very simple ways, cost-effective way. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. Just your time to, test your idea even before you spend a lot of time and resources developing an app.
Nice. Hustler mindset coming down.
That's the way when you are a startup, you have no money. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Fantastic. And one question, this brings me to, so let's say you say that you want to make sure that there is demand first before you launch an app. So let's say you have an idea based on your market research. I think this one got a chance. But then you go to the app store, no one is doing the app. What are you going to do? Are you going to go with the idea still, or you?
So there's a lot of bunch of tools out there right now to see whether there's demand for that particular app. So for that particular app, basically you need also a set of keywords that's related to the app. So for example, Glitch Art, let's go back to the example of Glitch Art. So when I released Glitch Art, there's only one app that was doing it, but it was a paid app. So the paid app was doing about 5 to 10K a month, if I remember correctly. So I wasn't that sure whether 5 to 10K is demand for it. So I use a tool called Sensor Tower. So Sensor Tower, you can just key in all the different keywords related to Glitch, and then they will give you kind of like a estimated popularity score. And then from there, you can make a judgment of whether there's really demand when there's no other competitors. Right now, there's even easier way. So when I first did it, there was no Apple search ads. So right now, there's Apple search ads. Search ads. So basically, you can use Apple search ads to run ads on the App Store. So your app will always appear at the top. Because you're running ads. So if you go to the Apple Search Ads platform, you can just basically type a keyword, then Apple will tell you how popular that keyword is in a scale. I think in the scale of four dots. So in a scale of 4 dots. So if your keyword is popular, then it's 3 out of 4 dots. So if your keyword is very popular, like photo editor, then it's 4 out of 4 dots. So you can basically time the keyword and you see if your keyword is at least 2 dots, out of 4, then it means it's there's demand for it.
So you usually look for at least 2 dots?
Yeah, 2 dots. Or if there's 1 dot, but if that 1 dot, but for that particular niche, maybe the keyword, the main keyword has 1 dot, but that particular niche has a lot of sub keywords related to the topic. So for example, I'm saying about glitch art, so there's a lot of other keywords like glitch effects, VHS effect that's related to glitch. But all these, also maybe have 1 dots, but they all add up. And then it becomes a huge demand.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned that the competitor who did glitch, you needed paid. So what about your model? Do you do only paid or you do both free and paid?
No, I only do free. The trend is always, okay, so of course, the Apple algorithm has changed quite a lot. Back in the day, once you release a free app, and because it's a free app, the downloads are higher. Apple, just instantly feels that your app is more relevant. It's better than your competitor. So you can always outcompete a paid app quite easily. So we always go for freemium model. So you download the app for free. You can use some of the app features for free, but for the more premium features, it's being locked. You have to pay for it. Yeah.
Is it a one-time fee or
Okay, so back
recurring?
then there wasn't subscription. So for the in-app purchase, you just have to pay once and you can use the app for forever.
And you get all the latest updates and stuff like
Yep, correct.
that? Okay. And then eventually you switch to recurring
Yes.
later.
So I think it was a few years already. A few years back, Apple switched from one-time payment model to recurring subscription, and I think that brought about a lot of changes in the App Store, and also it's also one of the pivotal moment in the business also.
So right now, if someone wants to pay like a one-time fee, it's not possible, is it?
It's still possible.
Oh, still
Depends on
possible.
app developer. So some
Okay.
app developer feels that subscription is too expensive, and they don't think that their audience are willing to pay a subscription for it. Then they will just stick to the one-time payment model.
Got it.
Yeah.
So after being in the app business for a number of years, what was, I would want to say, the biggest challenge that you faced, and what do you learn from it?
Wow. The biggest challenge, I guess the biggest challenge is always okay. So for how my business model work is that to keep growing the company, one has to keep thinking of new app ideas, and after doing this for 9 years, there's only so much you can think after a while. So it kind of drains you because you need to keep doing a lot of market research. So my market research was quite thorough. So there's a lot of steps to go through before even I even think of before releasing an app to the App Store. So I need to read a lot of articles. I read trends article. Go to Reddit forum. A lot of reading that needs to be done. I spend about 4 to 5 hours a day just on researching on app idea
Every day.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge is always to come up with new app ideas. So I tried several ways to create a team to try to outsource this part of the job. I try to create a team that basically focus on just help me brainstorming new app ideas. But it didn't really turn out very well. So it's not easy to keep thinking of new app ideas every day. I think that's the biggest challenge. And I think the another challenge is always to be okay. So when I first started out, this model was quite unique. Everybody was first. Everybody wants to be Instagram, wants to be Facebook, and they just focus on one app. They want to make this app as big as possible. We took a very different approach, which is to create a portfolio. So we don't just focus on one app. So we created 38 apps, and each app is a very particular niche. So back then was quite easy because nobody was doing this approach. Everybody was just focusing on one app. So there was a lot of market gaps, a lot of opportunities for you to play with.
But why did you decide to go with that approach when most people are going the other way?
Because we decided to go into a lifestyle business instead of a VC run business. So when we pitched the idea of creating an app portfolio, I think most investors don't really understand the model. When we talk about this idea, a lot of people don't really understand it. A lot of the VCs also don't really understand it. And we were actually really quite profitable. So there wasn't a need to raise money anymore. We don't see a need to raise money. So the margins are okay, and we were quite comfortable. So we decided to make this a lifestyle business instead of a VC run business.
Maybe you could explain what the difference between a VC run business and a lifestyle business.
So VC, you raise money from VC, right? And in order for the VCs to make money, make back their money, is for you to keep raising money so that valuations go up, correct? So and if you stop raising, means your valuation most probably remain stagnant, and then the VCs won't get their money back that soon. And so for a VC run business, you need to keep raising money. You need to keep innovating. Keep pitching a lot to other investors. So yeah, for a lifestyle business means you have no investors, or maybe you have only a few investors, and the money from the business is comfortable for you to pay out as dividends, and you can live out from the dividends, and there's no pressure from other people, to keep raising money to do this. You can just keep the business stagnant, and nobody cares, because it's your own thing, right? So lifestyle business is more like you're more in control of your business. You want to make it stagnant, you can make it stagnant. You want to make it grow, you can make it grow. You don't really care. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
So earlier you said one of the challenges was, I think, market research, right? Running out of ideas. Was there ever the possibility of you thinking maybe I would jump into a different category instead of just video and image editing? Maybe I do into games or whatsoever. Was there ever that thought?
I think we have this thought of I think games. Okay, games was very hot back then. Casual games. So I think I'm not sure whether people still remember Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
Yeah, it's created by a Vietnamese. It's a very simple game. I think it make him almost an overnight millionaire. So very simple game. You just tap on the phone screen to prevent your bird from being squashed by the pillars, something like that. So that brought about the rise of the casual game. So and Apple was also quite okay with casual games back then. So if you are able to create a very addictive casual games, you are able to rise to the top of the rankings really fast, and then you can make quite a lot of money from the ads. So there was quite a lot of the rise of there was quite a lot of good casual games. I think the ones I remember is Color Switch was very popular. Flappy Birds. There was quite a few. And the casual games, it looks simple. It's very simple to code.
Sorry to interrupt. What exactly is a casual game?
So casual game is your toilet bowl game.
Toilet bowl game.
So it's maybe it's a 5 to 10 minute game that you can go and you can sit on a toilet bowl doing your business. You take out your phone and you play the casual game. It's not like a Fortnite where once you play, you have to play like 1 hour, 2 hours just to finish the game, or complete a quest or something like that. Okay. So casual games is like your Angry Birds also. You just need 5 to 10 minutes to complete a level.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the rise of the casual games. So we try to we thought of going to this category, but although the game mechanics look simple, it's very easy to code. You just maybe 1 month you can code a very simple casual games. But we realized that we are not the games person. We don't play a lot of games. I hardly play games for since primary school. The last time I played game was a Pokemon Go version. So and we try to think of very unique games that people really like. It's very addictive. But we realized that it's not that easy. It's easy to code, but it's the idea behind the game. How addictive the game is, whether the game can hook people up. That's the really difficult part. And we realized that a lot of people try to do that, but maybe out of 10 people who create a casual game, maybe only 1 managed to succeed and make it very big. Yeah.
What's stopping you from, say, identifying a very popular casual game like Flappy Bird, then you add in more features, then you launch your one? Would that work?
It doesn't work that way for the for casual games. So for casual game, you can't really rely a lot on what we call the App Store optimization. Where you can just key in keywords and then hoping that it will rise up to the ranks. So for casual games, in order to make it big, make it viral, it needs to be addictive, and you need it to be very shareable. People really want to share the game. It's very fun. People really recommend word of mouth, or people are willing to share their scores on Facebook. Then it creates the viral effect. So we have this thing called a viral factor. So for casual games, you need to have the viral factor to come in. So if your games do not have the viral factor, it's very, very hard for you to rise up to the top of the rank. So it's really about the game mechanics, rather how addictive it is, how good the retention of the app is.
I see.
Which is not easy to do, and it really needs a lot of trial and error. You need to create like tons of games. Even before you create one that really works. So I know this guy who created the Color Switch. It's a very popular game, I think 6 or 7 years ago. it took him about 30 to 40 games, creating 30 to 40 casual games before he came out with the idea of color switch and really make it big.
What is color switch?
Color switch is, if you search on the App Store right now, you type in color switch. It's a very simple game. It's like a toilet bowl game, 5 to 10 minutes. You just have to, the ball will just keep jumping, and then there's a wheel at the top. The wheel at the top, you have to match the color of the ball with the wheel, so you can pass to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very addictive. It's a very simple game also. Yeah.
And these type of casual games, they are not like say Fortnite where you play with other players. It's just you yourself, is it?
Yes, it's a very individual game.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And earlier you mentioned that since you don't play much games, that's why you don't have this edge in this creating games. So back to your image and video editor. So do you use a lot of such apps? That's why you are very familiar with it?
No, I don't really edit a lot of photos, but the mechanics is pretty simple. Most editing apps are quite similar. You don't really need to reinvent the view to create very innovative features for editing. But you just have to think of what is the market, what is the niche that people are not developing.
Okay.
So yeah, for photo and video, it's a different ball game. It's more on the finding the market gap. Yeah. But for casual games, it's more about the game mechanics. Making it very additive, making it to have a very high viral factor. For photo and video, you don't need a high viral factor. You just need to rise up to the top of the particular keyword, and then you're more or less you get all the organic downloads. Yeah.
Got it. So from what I'm hearing, is like for photo and video, you need to find like existing market demand and go fill in the gap.
Yes.
Whereas the game, sometimes there's no demand, but you create people like it, and there's demand that's coming through.
Right. Yeah.
I see.
Correct.
So back to the app, right? Like you said that you do research, then you see that competitor does a certain app, and then maybe you want to beat the app and have more features. What if your competitor now do this to your existing app? So what's like the next course of action?
So okay, so it really depends on so it boils down to your market research. In your market research, you will also have find out for this particular niche, there are a lot of sub niche linking to the main niche. So for example, glitch art, there's a lot of sub niche like VHS effect, a lot of effects that's related to glitch. So in your market research, if you did your market research thoroughly enough, you will find out all these keywords. Okay, and then the way to beat your competitor is to find out all these keywords. Okay, if you're thorough enough, you will find all these keywords. Then if you put it into your metadata, your app title, your app subtitle, then you have already an edge over your competitors who maybe doesn't do the research thorough enough. Then Apple will know it, the algorithm will know it that you key in this keyword and it's very it's very relevant to your main app. And then you're more or less able to stick to number 1 ranking for quite a while. And of course, you need to have a working app that that give people what they want, and then they will leave a good review. So your reviews must be good, your keyword selection must be good, your app relevancy must be good, your screenshots must be relevant, so that your conversion rate also must be good when they see the app page and then they download the app and then they use the app. Then of course, the next thing is that Apple needs to make money also, right? So your monetization must be reasonable also. So when people come into your app, are people spending in your app? So you need to optimize your paywall well. If your paywall is not optimized well, people are not paying for the app, then you probably lose out the competitor. Yeah. So all these things, you need to think in terms of Apple. What is Apple looking for? Apple is looking for revenue. It needs to make money. Then looking for app relevancy. And all these things you must have an edge over your competitor. So you must be able to monetize well. Test all the different price points. Test your paywall. See whether subscription works. If subscription doesn't work, then you revert back to one-time purchase, or maybe what I did is also to remove all the ads. So I used to place advertisements in my app to earn revenue for AdMob. But then I remove it because I feel that it affects the experience of the app, because it's quite irritating, right? You are using the app halfway and then the ad pop up. So I removed them so the experience was better. People spend longer time in the app, and all these small little things give a good feedback to Apple algorithm saying that this app is good, is better than a competitor. So all these small things adds up. So you need to go and figure out what are all the small things to give an edge over your competitor. Yeah.
So you have 38 apps. Do you like manually test each app, or you just test it as a whole, all 38 apply same thing?
So that's the beauty of the economies of scale, focusing on just one category. So once you have one app, you figure out how one app works, right? Usually applies to rest of the apps because the audience is quite similar. They're just looking for different things. So a lady who is interested in making logo maker, right? And you optimize the app for logo maker, and then her profile is probably similar to someone who is looking for a poster maker. And how you build your paywall, how you build your screenshots, how you leave a review, how you optimize everything in the app, usually is about the same. It doesn't differ too much because the audience is pretty much the same.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it, optimizing the paywall. So I understand freemium model is where the person maybe get like 50% of the things they can do for free, then the other 50% they have to pay for it. How do you determine what other stuff that they are likely to pay for?
Very easy. Like I always say, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Your competitor most likely has done it for you already. So one thing I can always look for is how Adobe or how Canva did it. So maybe at this point of the app, once they, an example, maybe they are editing halfway, the first 5 filters are free, the rest are locked. So I can just copy and put it the same principle into my app. So the first 5 filters are free for my app, and then the rest are locked. So yeah, so that's the first starting point. You can always just imitate your competitor, your main competitor. They probably have done the homework for you. They probably done a lot of A/B testing for you. So you just have to use their hard work and then put it into your app, and then you just similar to your paywall. How you design a paywall really affects the conversion rate. So there's no need to start from scratch also. You can just go to the App Store and look for the top grossing app in your category. The top grossing means the biggest earners for that category.
Oh, they do show which app?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't show in the App Store phone right now. You have to go download. You go and sign up for Sensor Tower. They will show you. And you can just look at the top grossing app. How are they monetizing their users? When did they show their paywall? Is it at the start of the app? And how they word it. Is there any copywriting done or anything? And you just have to follow their principles. Go and figure out why are they doing this, and just apply it to an app. And probably most of the time they have done the homework for you. It will work well for an app also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, it seems that you don't do a lot of A/B testing. You let people do the A/B testing, and then you just model what works for them.
Yeah. Until you feel that your competitors are not doing a good job, then you probably have to start from scratch, and then you do your own A/B testing. Yeah.
And how will you know when they are not doing a good job?
Probably you see, okay, maybe you compare, for logo maker, this app, conversion rate from being a free user to paying user is 20%. They convert into a paying user. But an app, maybe for poster maker, similar audience, you follow the competitor, and you follow the same paywall style and everything else, it doesn't work well. Maybe the conversion rate is only like 10%. Then you compare it to your own app. You say, hey, logo maker is 20%, but poster maker is only 10%. And probably I need to redesign the paywall for poster maker, and then I'll do A/B testing for it. So you can compare within your own app to see the conversion rate. So that again goes back to the beauty of focusing on one category. You can compare your own data to see which app you can further optimize, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So am I right to say that within this category of 38 apps, the conversion all be very similar throughout all 38?
Quite similar. But of course, some apps they just have this group of audience that is not willing to pay. So a good example would be, we have this app called the Wallpaper Maker. So it's just an app for user to come in and download the wallpaper for their phones. And no matter how we optimize the app, changing here and there, the conversion rate is just very, very low. So our conclusion is that this particular group of people are not willing to spend to buy wallpaper for their phone, and they just it. So you probably have to switch to advertising model. So you just place ads on your phone and earn revenue from your ad mob.
But as much as possible, I believe you rather earn that recurring subscription than through advertising.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. And also not just that group of people who don't want to pay money. I think, if I'm not wrong, you also did mention to me previously that, what's the other store? Android store, right? Well, maybe you can explain why I don't think you are over there on the store over there.
Okay, so Apple always market themselves as the premium phone. So the people who bought iPhone are usually the more affluent people. So, and most of them are the Americans and the Europeans. And this what I call the tier 1 countries, they're willing to spend on the App Store. They're really willing to spend, and they are being trained to spend money on the App Store by Apple very well. So and Apple is a very trusted brand. So anything that comes from Apple shouldn't be too shady. It should be quite legit. But for the Android is when Android first started out, I think they focus more on the developing countries. So most of the users are from the developing countries, like the what I call the tier 2 or tier 3 countries. Countries that don't spend too much on the App Store. So Android user base are still primarily quite a lot of them are still in the tier 2 and tier 3 countries. So they are more looking for free items instead of being paid. So they are not trained to really spend money on the Play Store. And Play Store is more liberal also, and the whole Android operating system is more liberal. So there's more scammy apps up there as compared to the Apple App Store. Because Apple App Store is a wall garden, right? It's a guarded garden. You go into the ecosystem, you need once you go into the ecosystem, you are locked inside the ecosystem, and it's very guarded. But for the Android store, it's more open. There's a lot of apps, different app stores in Android operating system. So there's a lot more fishy stuff out there. So less people are less trustworthy, I would say. Yeah, in the App Store for the Play Store. So people are not willing to spend on the Play Store as compared to the Apple App Store. And another reason is that for the Android operating system, there's just too many devices. There's Samsung, there's Huawei, and each phone comes with its own specifications. And in order to create an app that is compatible for all the different Android devices, you need to have a decent sized Android developer team to handle that. As for Apple, you can create an app for Apple iPhone 13, and it works well for all the way to maybe iPhone X, or maybe iPhone 6 maybe, and it works well for almost across all the different devices, iPad, your iPhones, everything else. So it's very easy. You create an app, it works for all devices. But for Android App Store, Android Play Store, you create an app, it doesn't work for all devices. Maybe it works well for the more premium devices where there's more processing power, but once you go down to the more lower tier devices, then it doesn't work as well. Then it creates a lot of bugs. Then once you create a lot of bugs, it will leave a bad review on the Play Store, and then it affects your ranking. It's quite a lot of work.
Right. Yeah. So because it's not like you can just take an existing code, copy paste, and send to the Android. You have to do a lot of work still to tweak it.
Yeah.
Got it. And speaking of bad review, what if someone leaves a bad review on your app? Do you have any course of action to take?
Okay, so for Apple, most of the bad reviews are mostly asking for a refund. And for Apple side, right, we can't process the refund. The users have to go to the Apple support page and ask for the refund itself. So usually, when people say that this app is not suitable for them, then we just direct them to the correct page to ask for a refund. Yeah, and we have a very small team of the backend people that support all the customer service. Well, not a very big team. I think 1 or 2 person that is in charge of customer service to reply on all the questions that they have. Yep, and because like I said, Apple devices, once you create an app for the Apple ecosystem, it works pretty well for most all devices. So once you eliminate a bug for one of the apps, it usually works well for the rest of the apps. So bugs usually after a few iterations, it should get lesser and lesser, and then at one point it will reach to a point where there won't be any bad reviews from the bugs.
I see. Are there like any minimum score they usually aim for?
If your app is working well, you should at least have a 4.4 out of 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now the standard now is at least a 4.4. Anything below that, your app is probably is not doing what user wants, or there's a lot of bugs, or you are charging too expensive for the app.
So if below 4.4 means the ranking will get downgraded because it's not high
correct.
enough.
So if your score is very low, then you'll probably lose out to your competitor, and then you will drop in the ranking also. So you need to be very watchful of your ranking, and every time you release a new app version, make sure that you track the reviews also. So sometimes you miss out a bug and that's affecting a lot of users, and then they will really leave a bad review. It will affect your score, so you need to be a constant lookout also.
Okay. So whenever you publish an app, mention you have 38, right? Are there times where you actually take the app down from the App Store, maybe because, I don't know, the review is too bad, 1 star, 2 star, I think it's better to take it down, or you just always just leave it there once you publish it?
We remove quite a few apps. Reason being is that Apple don't really like app publisher to publish too many apps, because they want to keep the App Store clean, right? They don't want one company to be creating over 100 apps. That's like kind of like spamming the App Store.
Okay.
So they want to keep the App Store clean and clutter free.
Very different from Android, where Android is more
Android
spammy.
is very wild west. It's very liberal. Apple is quite they want to keep the image clean, everything else clutter free. So you won't want to keep spamming the App Store with apps that are too similar, or of your code is just too similar. Of course, when you recycle the code, you can what I would say is that you don't copy and paste exactly 100%. You need to do some changes to it and maybe add one new feature here and there to make it slightly different, right? So and if the app is not performing well, it's getting like $20-$30 a day, it's not worth the money, not worth putting the app out, then we just remove it, just to keep your app account as clean as possible also.
Okay. And I believe you don't just have one account for 38, right? You have like multiple accounts to upload the different 38 apps.
Yes, if you are using my model.
Okay, because it's safer that way as well.
Yeah, correct. Always diversify, and everything in life, you try to diversify as much as possible.
All right. So is there any funny or strangest things that has happened to you in this app journey of yours?
Funny thing. I would not say not much of a funny things. I would say there's a lot of it made me realize that based on this, right, we are always at the mercy of Apple. So it's like you're a YouTuber, right? You're also at the mercy of YouTube, right? Once the algorithm change, right, you can get screwed overnight, right? So all your rankings can be dropped. So it made me realize that how small we are in the Apple ecosystem. So so that's why we are always very risk averse. We try to keep our account very clean. We don't push out too many apps at the same time, and really makes me think. Okay, this idea of being so small in the ecosystem also taught me about investing, right? So you always try to diversify your risk and everything else. So because in the App Store, a lot of things happen. Some of the apps got taken down before because Apple changed the rules, and we are not fast enough to keep up with the rules, and then we are in violation of their guidelines. Then some of the apps got taken down. So when these apps get taken down overnight, it caused a lot of panic and a lot of anxiety, because you never know. While you're sleeping, Apple can just remove the app from the App Store without you knowing, without giving you a chance to explain yourself and everything else. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the app store. They're just trying to keep the place safe and clean, So yeah, I would say that the big realization is that we are just a very small fish in a very big pond. So and that really also forces us to think how can we exit from this kind of like a rat race and not at the mercy of Apple. Exit wasn't always the first choice. We always try to think of ways, how can we create how can we bring the users out of the app store. So is there any way we can monetize outside of the app store? And it's really difficult because we try to collect their emails, but we have this email database, but when we try to sell things to this email database, because it's so disconnected, it's very hard to sell. So most of the money being made is still within the app store. So and eventually we thought of at some point we probably need to exit from this because we are always at the mercy of Apple.
Okay, now since you're talking about exit, so maybe we can move on and talk about how did the exit thing of this business come about. So earlier you were talking about how the app store is like, how you build your apps and stuff, but now maybe we can focus more on the exit. How did the exit come about?
Okay, so I guess is so we went to a wedding dinner, and in the wedding dinner we sat on the same table with our uncle. So our uncle is one of the pioneer generation at Temasek, GIC. So he's involved. He has been through many cycles of financial crisis. This crisis, Asian financial crisis, the housing crisis. So he has seen all the ups and downs of a lot of companies. All the startups they invested in and everything else. So and we of course then we told him about our venture. Saying that we have this ad thing that's going on. It's profitable, and what are his thoughts and everything else. And his advice is to you probably should think about an exit because doing business is just very risky. Anything one thing can happen and then it can wipe up your all your effort in overnight. And that really got us thinking, and he's giving us an advice on thinking about exit, saying that and overnight everything can be wiped out. And then Apple, on the other side, we are always at the mercy of Apple, and that really start to really form the idea of we should really think of of exiting. Then we also read up quite a lot of books on exiting. So I think one good book is I can't remember what's the name. Probably I'll share it later. About teaching you about the principle of exiting company. How do you build a company that is suitable for exit? Then we started reading on this, and then we tried to restructure, do a minor restructure of the apps to ensure that is compatible for exit. So one of the main principle behind making a company compatible for exit is that you cannot be the one that be the face of the company. So when a new buyer buys over your company, right, it needs to able to be continue running, generating revenue without you. I think that's the main selling point, main thing that you need to make your company be. So fortunately we are kind of like in the app space, so everything is it's like a software as a service. So even without me, all these apps can still continue generating revenue without me. So so we kind of make a lot of changes, small changes to it. Then we start to look for I think we started trying to sell the company in late 2018. It was like
before
just,
COVID.
Yeah, before COVID. It was just test the market. Back then the appetite wasn't very good for apps. People still don't understand apps that well. So 2018, I think the offers that we received were quite lowball. So we didn't really go with them. So and then so we went to several brokers, and then we tried to sell. Most of them were lowball offers.
So when you say low ball, is like how many times earnings did they offer you that's considered low ball?
1.5, 2x.
And that's considered low ball for the space that you're
Yes,
in.
correct.
And you're
correct.
judging this based on what? Like the other companies that are getting offered?
Yes, correct. So we are judging based. There was some market rate for apps. How much we are how much they can be sold for.
Okay.
So, but the offers that we received were quite low ball, so we didn't really go with it. And then I think and then we scratched into late 2019. So there was on and off, and late 2019, then the COVID happened. So COVID happened late 2019, early 2020. So what happened is that everybody stayed at home, and then there was the App Store experienced a pandemic boom. So almost without you doing much, your revenue, I think most people revenue, especially if you're in the digital space, your revenue just shot up quite a lot overnight. So we experienced the boom, and especially with 38 apps, the revenue increase was quite significant. So we experienced a boom, and then during this period, there was also the start of what I call the company aggregators. It started off in Amazon. So there's this company called Trashio. They are buying up small Amazon companies, e-commerce companies, aggregating them and hoping their combined revenue will give them a very high valuation. And eventually, the end goal, I suppose, is to be IPO or maybe bought over by another person. And what's happening in the Amazon store is happening in the App Store. So I think in 2020, 2021, there was a whole bunch of aggregators coming up. So they were looking for companies to buy. So, and we were just we were lucky, we were in the right place at the right time. So from low ball offers to competing offers. So people are starting to kind of like compete and giving app companies a higher valuation, or at least market rate valuation. And and we went with it. And when we see of course there were some offers that came close to closing, but then at the end they back out. But never mind, because we are still very profitable. We are quite profitable, and then we are not really desperate to sell. I mean, selling is an option, but if it doesn't sell, it's okay. We can just continue doing what we are doing. So one offer came. We were very close to closing, but in the end, something happened. They back out, and then in the end, I think thanks to the effort of the brokers, the two brokers that we engaged, they were really patient and really encouraging. They really went through all the different scenarios and they taught us how to present ourselves well to the buyers. And we met with the last buyer, the buyer that bought over us, I think towards the end of 2021, I think. And they gave us a very good offer. And the terms was pretty good. We were happy with it. And and then the rest is history. We sold the company to them.
Nice. And how do you find, you mentioned like brokers and buyers. What's the process like of finding someone who is interested in your business?
So there's a lot of buyers. There's a lot of platforms out there, a lot of marketplaces, I would say, in the app space, in the internet space. So if you have a blog that's making very steady income, you can just list your blog onto their platform. I think one platform is FE International, or you can go empireflippers.com. There's a lot of platform, a lot of marketplaces for you to list your online business, and then they'll connect you to the buyers. So our experience with them was okay. It was the offers that came in was not the ideal one. Then so my brother also know. Then at this point, my brother knew these two of his friends who are doing M&A deal also. So my brother brought them in, and they help us to look through our financial records, clean up our financial records, ensure that everything is in good shape. What's the how to speak to taught us on how to speak to the buyers, how to present ourselves, all these things, and what are some of the potential questions that they will ask. So it was a very thorough process, and then they went to search for the potential buyers for us. So the first buyer was close to closing, but it didn't happen. So Then after another 3 to 4 months search after the first one, we eventually found the second one who was offering a much better deal also, and they are very eager to come into the app space, and that's how we sold the company with these two brokers.
So the brokers were introduced by your brothers, and they went to manually look for companies interested. Okay.
Correct. So it's no longer a marketplace anymore. So they went to find prospective buyers manually, sending out emails, going through their buyer list, everything else.
Is that better for you in terms of paying less commission compared to a marketplace?
Okay, marketplace, my experience with them is that because they are a marketplace, so the analysts that got attached to us in the marketplace wasn't very focused with us. So his attention wasn't all with us because he has other prospective clients to deal with also. So they gave us the valuation and then say, yeah, that's it. That's the valuation. That's the valuation you should go with. And then it doesn't really communicate a lot. But for the two brokers that we work with, that my brother brought them in, they're more, their attention is more on us. They really talk to us about, what kind of buyers are we looking for? What kind of buyers? Is it strategic buyers or is it financial buyers? What's the ideal buyer? What's the profile of the buyer? Who will buy us? What are the companies that you think that will be interested in us? All these things. Then what's the valuation like? What are the potential questions that the buyer will ask? What are some of the flaws of the company that you can rectify before we go deep into the selling process and everything else? What are the financial statements that needs to be worked on? All these things. All needs to be cleaned up and everything else. So it's more very personal. Yeah.
So when you say clean up the financial statements, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, fortunately for apps, it's quite straightforward. Everything is recorded by Apple, so you can't really bluff your way through. You cannot do any accounting stuff to mark up your whatever revenue or whatever your gross income or anything else. So for the App Store, it's very straightforward. But maybe for other business, maybe your e-commerce, there could be maybe you merge too many accounts into one, and then it clouds your financial statement. So maybe and maybe you mix your personal expenses into a company expenses also. So that will also confuse the buyer, right? And once buyer sees that your accounts are very messy, it's very hard to figure out what's the real revenue that you're really getting. Then it's a very you will drag out the process, and then you will lose the momentum. So before even you prepare to sell your company, ensure that all your accounts are clean. Your expenses are really just all really company expenses. You don't merge all different companies together. Each company should have its own bank account and everything else.
Okay. And what are some of the things that a business can do to maybe mark up their valuation?
First thing is always about recurring, right? So if you can convert your business into one that is from offering one-time purchase into a recurring subscription, then your valuation will go up at least, 3 to 4 times. Yeah, it's like what happened to Adobe, right? If you look at Adobe, the initial years, you pay a one-time price to buy Photoshop. Then after that, they switch to recurring subscription. And then you can see their stock price went up because now they are a software as a service company. It's a recurring and it's a very steady income. People will know how much revenue they will come in every year, right? So it makes things very attractive, similar to what Microsoft did to Microsoft Office and the Windows platform. So first thing you can do if you can make your business a recurring one, make sure you do it, and it will definitely make your company more attractive and valuation will go up. And of course, if you're in the tech space, then also makes things sweeter also. Tech valuation is usually higher than your brick and mortar valuation. Because tech, the overhead usually is quite low. So if you are in the tech space, then also if you can kind of like convince the buyer that you are in the tech space, then of course it will be good lah. But of course, it's not that straightforward. If you are brick and mortar, sometimes you want to pitch to prospective buyers that you are a tech company. It could be an uphill task. But I've seen other people do it. if you read through the articles in Tech in Asia, you'll see how people pivot into a brick and mortar company into a tech company.
Do you have any example that comes to mind?
I think one example, maybe wrong. Salad Stop. I think Salad Stop, from the name itself, they sell salad across Singapore. But I believe in the latest fundraising, they kind of like pitch themselves as a tech company. So they probably, from, I don't know how they pitch it. I didn't read the pitch deck. Probably managed to collect some data, make the pivot into a tech company, so they can. It's more attractive, right? It's more attractive than selling salad. Yeah. So if you can do this kind of things, it makes your valuation more attractive. Of course, it's uphill task, but if you can do it, then why not, right?
And how do you feel about selling away your baby, after so many years building this app store and just sell it one day?
I'm more of when I was reading the book that taught you on how to exit, one of the things that they say also is to don't be too attached to your company, and I kind of like approach this as just a company, not really my baby. I will treat it as a tool to help me, that brings me financial freedom. So is there any sadness, or is there any pusata when I sold the company? Not a lot. I felt I was ready to move on to other things. I've been doing for close to 9 years. And one of the main reason I decided to sell is also because I feel that I cannot grow the company anymore. So it's either, if you don't grow a company, it's either stagnant. If it's not stagnant, then it's going down. And if it's going down, it means your valuation will also go down. And nobody wants to buy a sinking ship, right? Even if they buy, they will buy at a very cheap valuation. So and in order for me to grow the company, I have to hire more people. My skill sets has reached a maximum. There's only so much I can grow the company. So if I want to really grow the company, I'll probably have to go into inorganic traffic, which is buying ads, Facebook ads, which can be costly, and I have to manage a new team to do all this. So my team I like to keep my team small. So my whole company size is only about 9 to 10 people, mostly developers. And I already have, like any business, right? 9 to 10 people, it's a small team, but you still have to manage the people in some aspect. So if I want to bring in a marketing team to do all the advertisement, then I will have to manage them to ensure that they are performing well and all sorts. And then it's not the path that I really want to go towards. I mean, I can learn Facebook ads on my own, but then that will add more things to whatever I'm doing, which is to come up with more app ideas. Then I don't think I have the appetite to do that. And I'm very comfortable with the absolute value of the valuation I'm getting, and do some calculations and feel that okay, I can kind of like live off with this sum of money. I'm happy with that. I don't need a lot more. So I was quite if there's a buyer that really come in with a good valuation and the deal was pretty good, I was happy with it. My brother and I were happy with it. Just go with it. And the very important thing is that we are always at the mercy of Apple. It's a very risky business venture. Once Apple changes the algorithm, you are screwed, right? And then now with a buyer come in, we just shifted the risk from me and my brother to the new buyer. It's no longer our business. I can sleep better at night. I don't have to wake up early in the morning checking my email and seeing my app has been removed and all sorts. Yeah. So it was a very quite an easy choice. Yeah.
Okay. And right now, do you still think about apps? Right, since you really sold the company, do you still think, maybe I can try this idea or that idea? Does it still ring in your head?
Once in a while, I do. With the new, with AI coming in, ChatGPT. There's a lot of potential and all sorts. But I'm still enjoying what my kind of like a semi-retired life. So maybe when the age come back, I will never say no. If there's a good opportunity, of course I will go back in. But right now, nope.
Okay. Then since you talk about semi-retirement, was this something like you envisioned from the start, and how is it like compared to the vision that you had in mind?
Wow. Okay. Well, the first thing I would never expect that I can be financial free at this age. So
maybe you can share with the audience what's your age.
I'm born in 89, so I'm 34 this year.
Well done.
So
Fantastic.
thank you. So yeah, I will never expect that I can be financial free at this age. I always think that I'll probably work until 50 to 60 years old. Then from there, then I will retire. So yeah, so at 34, I'm still figuring out a lot of things. Right now, I'm just relaxing, enjoying this newfound freedom, the change of lifestyle and everything else. So yeah, it's definitely not something that I have thought of.
So maybe you can compare or share with us previously when you're working in the app business, what was your day-to-day like? And then compared to now that you've sold the business, how is your day-to-day like?
So I'm a very I work well I perform well when there's a routine. So my day-to-day when I was doing app business is very routine based. So everything is very robotic. So if you want to kidnap me, it's very easy to kidnap because everything you can kind of guess where I am at this particular hour. So before I got married and have a kid, when I was starting up, the hours were quite okay. Were from, I think I woke up 6 a.m. and prepare for work. I'll probably reach office around 7:30 a.m. Then I'll probably work all the way to 5:30. With 1 hour, with very strict 1 hour lunch time. I eat an early lunch so to avoid the lunch hour. So it's very focused. It's just 7:30 a.m. I start working in the office. I work all the way to 5:30. And then that will go on for about 2 to 3 years. Then 2 to 3 years. Then I moved to another new office. Same thing in the new office. I also work from about 7:30 all the way to around maybe 5:30. Then as we got more profitable, I kind of like take a step back. I kind of like relax a little bit. So my working hours is from still the same 7:30 to all the way to maybe 4:35. Just shorter. But at the beginning, I also work during the weekends. So in the weekends, probably I'll just spend about 2-3 hours looking at the app store, figuring out what kind of apps to build. So that's kind of my routine. So after I got married, I started work a little bit later, so maybe like 8:30, and I work all the way to around 5. And same thing, always a very strict 1 hour lunch time. So I'm always ensure that all the working hours that I have is spent really working and not doing other things. So when I work, right, I don't really talk to other people. So people in the corporate, you when you go for lunch, you usually eat with your colleagues, and usually sometimes the lunch hour can stretch from 1 hour to 1.5, 2 hours. But me, usually I eat alone, so it's very focused. 11 o'clock, I just stop work and then go pack lunch, eat 1 hour, drink a cup of Yakult or Toast Box, and then that's it. Faster go back, and then just work all the way. So yeah, so it wasn't a lot of talking. There's no chit chatting, hardly any. Chit chatting is when I work is really work. Then that's basically my routine. Right now, so when I was working, my business is pretty much focused, doing nothing much but every day looking at app ideas and everything else.
Expand a little bit, like you say, when you're working like maybe from 7:30 to 5, right? Like how many percent of the time are you spending on market research? How many percent are you spending on doing other stuff? Like we can just a rough breakdown.
Okay, so every Monday, I'll have a team meeting with my team. we'll just go on a Zoom or Skype call. Back then I was using Skype. Zoom wasn't there. Using a Skype call, everybody will just huddle online. Then we will go through, for this week, what are the apps that needs to be done, what the design needs to be done, so that I want the designers and the developers to be communicating. It's like a factory. There shouldn't be any bottleneck, and everything should should move as smooth as possible. So so that's the main purpose of the meeting. And then usually the bottleneck happens with me when I need to give the green light to something else. So but that's okay. Usually I reply messages quite fast, so the green light was there. So main thing is always to ensure at the start of the week the factory keeps churning out the apps, the designs, or whatever that needs to be done. So everything is smooth. Then after all this is done, and most of the time is spent coming up with app ideas. So I spend about half the day, half of the working hours doing market research. And the other half is doing app testing. So every time there's a new beta build, alpha build, I'll just test it and then give some feedbacks to developers so they can continue rectifying on whatever bugs they have. Yeah. So it's very simple. It's always ensure the factory keeps working, running. Everybody has what they want, what they need to start working. And then my job is to come up with the app ideas, doing market research, testing the apps, and that's basically the how my work day goes about.
Got it. Then now that you're semi-retired, how's your work day like?
Not much of a work day, so now I spend more time exercising. So I still wake up at 6 a.m. But instead of preparing for work, I go for a run. So go for a run. I just want to ensure I have the health and the fitness. I still have my IBPT to clear, so I just want to ensure that I still get my silver IBPT, my $300.
Every cent counts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my $300. Yep. And after that, I will send my daughter to school. And then depends on right now. Because with the rise of AI, I spend a little bit more time reading up on AI. ChatGPT, OpenAI. Spend a little bit more time on reading newsletter on what the latest ideas that people are doing, what the latest product people are coming out with, just to ensure that I don't lose track of what's happening in the outside world.
What are some newsletters you read?
The most popular one is the two of them is the major one is the Hustle. They got bought over by HubSpot recently, I think 2 years or 1 year ago. And they also have this Trends newsletter, which is very useful if you want to come up with app ideas. So they did their research to find out what is trending right now. Maybe some kind of dog food, some kind of biohacking that's trending in the States or in the Europe. They will do a breakdown for you, and they will suggest ideas on how to monetize this kind of trends, what kind of product you can build for this kind of trends. Hustle is more for the daily news, daily tech news, what's happening, what's Microsoft doing, whether you need to know all this. So if you can leverage on whatever they are coming out with, then why not just go in, just grab the opportunity. Yeah, so just to keep myself updated on what's happening around the world.
Okay. So I think one of the common thinking that most people have, like, if I made my first million, if I made my first 5 million, 10 million, right, I'll be this will be life changing, I'll be forever happy. But then now, since clearly you have made it, I think it's good to hear from someone from your experience. How do you feel that your happiness level has changed ever since your exit?
I would say the first few weeks will definitely be happy. The anxiety that I have when doing the business definitely reduced quite a lot. So when I was doing the app business at the mercy of Apple, every morning when I wake up, I have to check my emails to ensure that nothing happened to my apps. Because if something happened to my apps, I have to wake my app developer team up and get things started working, right? So there's always a lot of anxiety on that. So after shifting all the risk to the new buyer, definitely can sleep better. I'm definitely more relaxed. I think the most important thing is the headspace that I have. when I was doing business, about 90% of the headspace is spent on, how to grow the business, how to ensure, my business don't go on a downtrend. So if I want to sell, it won't sell at an attractive price. What are new app ideas that I can think of? What is Apple doing? Very important, what is Apple doing in the App Store? Are they coming out with new rules? What are the new rules? Do I need to make any changes to my apps? And all sorts. Yeah. So I think it's that headspace. So after selling a company, I have a lot more headspace to think about other things. Working on myself. Definitely doing more exercising. Thinking about how can I what to do with the rest of my life. How should I allocate my money? What should I do with the small pot of gold that I have? So spend a little bit more time on reading about investments, deploying my money to ensure that there's passive income coming in. I don't touch the principal. I can live off on the interest rate and all sorts to ensure that I have enough for the next generation also. And reading up on a lot of investments. What's the psychology behind the investments? How to value a company? What are the fundamentals of a company? How what makes a good investment and all sorts and everything else. So yeah, definitely a lot more headspace to think about other things other than just 100% on business. Yeah.
I can resonate with that. Yeah, the headspace. My head's this is just business, and yeah. So how do you plan to reallocate your money, because you don't want it to get eaten up by inflation, right? So what are some strategies that you have on your mind?
So I think the first thing is to ensure that there's a passive income coming in. So the first thing I did was to invest in REITs, real estate investment trust, ensure that there's a decent yield. The yield beats the inflation, and there's some small capital gains. So the overall gains is still much better than holding in cash and not losing out to inflation. And of course, next thing will be into deploying money into investments. Buying companies that I understood well. So of course, the first thing, one of the stocks that I bought is Apple, because I understood Apple ecosystem well. I know whether they are doing well in the App Store. So of course, other companies that I'm familiar with, Meta, Google, Amazon. So I know how their business model work. They are on a recurring revenue, and of course there are other things, like ROIC or whatever. All these things you have to learn. Then put money, about all these stocks. It's more like to ensure that it doesn't get eaten up by inflation and it still outperform the S&P 500, and ensure there's still a lot more enough for my next generation. Yeah.
Do you plan to? I know you have a kid, right? Do you plan to pass your wealth to them, or it's more of like, no, you go and figure life on your own and you get probably just a small percentage?
I'll probably pass some of it to them. Hopefully, I think the main aim is that they do not have to worry about money, and they can focus on doing what they are passionate about in life. So I think our parents' generation and maybe my generation, our generation, we are still bounded by the money side. So whatever we do is always about whether it makes financial sense and everything else, and we don't really have the a lot of freedom to pursue what we really like. So maybe for my daughter, hopefully she doesn't have to worry about that, and she really found something that she's really passionate about, and no need to be worried about money, and she can go all in to do that.
Okay, but at the same time, because of not having enough, it made you want to have lots of money and go down this path. So by maybe having not your kid worry about money, will we deprive them of that option? What are your thoughts? As I was saying, right? So because like when we were young, we come from middle income family, and then we want money because money can give us so many options. So we work hard, go into entrepreneurship, go into business. But by maybe not having our kids worry about money, will we deprive them of that so-called fire that we have when we were young?
So I would say it depends on really depends on how we the parenting style. Yeah. So it's definitely not easy. There's no easy solution to that. What we can do is really try our best to to teach them the values of hard work. Study hard. You still need to study hard. Money doesn't come easy. A lot of things you still need to earn on your own. You still need to depend on your own. And it's not easy. But hopefully, my wife and I will just do our best to try to teach them these very important values, and not to spoil them. Yeah.
And speaking of money, let's end off with a money question, shall we? So I'm curious, what is something that you have purchased, right, that is under $100 and it has made a big difference to your life?
Does it have to be something?
What is something? Anything below $100 that has made a difference to your life? Big difference, ideally.
Big difference. Let me think about it. Maybe a massage. Only recently. Okay, it's not really something. It's more like an experience.
Yes.
So it costs slightly more than $100, but I think the going for a massage really can relieve the stress and really because I've been doing a bit more exercises, so sometimes I feel the ache and everything else. So it's nice to go for a very good massage. And maybe after a massage to have a good meal. It doesn't have to be expensive. A good hawker meal would be good. So these two things always recharge me and makes me very happy.
So the massage only happened after the company exit?
Yeah, it's only recently that.
That's how we talk about, elite level frugality, guys. Awesome, right? Thank you so much, Dave. And I really appreciate your time and sharing all the secrets of the App Store. I didn't know you go so technical, and I really appreciate it because not many people want to share such a deep stuff about the App Store, fearing that they might lose their edge. But since you already sold it, I guess not too concerned down there. So where might the audience find you, if they want to connect with you, or would you rather not be found? It's up to you.
No, I'd rather keep a low profile.
Okay.
Yep.
We just keep it as it is.
Yes.
So they will not find you. They can just access this podcast and that's it.
Yep, correct.
No problem with that. Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you very much.